Hey guys, I'm waiting for the first student to come online here, and we'll get started with the essay number one, information. So please, when you enter, start chatting and ask your questions. Obviously, if you can't watch this, I'm going to edit it and also cut out these 40 seconds where there's nobody online. Ah, looks like somebody's online. Who's there? Oops, I just cut you off. Oh, that person was me. All right, I see 3, 5. All right, you got to tell me who you are. 4. Cassandra, glad you're here. What questions do you have? And Gregory, good to see you. Just type in any questions you have, and I'll be glad to help in any way that I can. It's really awkward just sitting here staring at my computer screen. All right, guys, I don't want to waste your time, but Gregory, here we go. Cassie, I'm still a bit confused about what our essay is supposed to be about after watching the video you posted. Can you clarify a tiny bit more? Oh, I'll clarify a whole lot more. All right, so the question is, use Sally McFay's argument in her article to provide a critique of Norman Solomon's argument in his article. So what you will be doing is you need to, first of all, understand Sally McFay's argument. And once you do that, remember, she has two models that she uses. The neoclassical is the one that she critiques, right? It's the one that we currently have, and she says that's really a bad way to look at the world, and the results are bad. All right. So then what does she provide? She provides a new model that says we have to look at the world a different way. All right. And so as such, she provides the uh, alternative to the neoclassical uh, option, which she calls ecological. Now, she provides some good information about why that would be helpful. All right. Now, what does Solomon do? He looks at the world and says, if we apply these kinds of it's all right. If we apply these kinds of techniques, we can make the world more just. Okay. So what is he dealing with? Is he dealing with the the ecological economics? No, he's not. Right. He's dealing with the neoclassical model. Look what he says about greed. Um, he actually does say that building wealth is actually good, right? Somerville 20, don't know who you are, but does the neoclassical model say that people should get as much as to fulfill their self interest? That is totally correct. They are, in that model, self interest is key and growth is key. Everybody wants to, sure, everybody wants to have more. Oh, somebody's calling me. Everybody wants to have more, and that's the goal, is to have more stuff, right? And when we have more stuff, it is going to deplete the planet, right? And when we are in competition for more stuff, what happens? Those without a lot of resources get left behind. So self-interest is the main part. And that's why when we look at Solomon, I was talking about it earlier, Solomon says that if you become rich, you can help poor people. Okay. That seems to me to be a justification for the um, neoclassical model. Okay. So look what he does. He's just tweaking this model and trying to make it better. All right. Now, um, with McFay, she says a model built on greed won't work, right? Because if we're never satisfied and we're going on and on about trying to fulfill these selfish desires, then that's not really what life's about. And if we keep doing that, we're going to continue to be have a real huge gap between the haves and the have-nots. All right. Is it Gina Thompson says, can you explain the difference between the discussion post we did and the paper? Certainly. The discussion post was just to try to get you to contrast the two and understand the differences. And of course, we've just talked about the main difference here is that McFay is offering a new way of looking at the world, that if you're looking at the world through the neoclassical eyes, you're not going to fix it. Just not going to happen. And then the Solomon's view is just tweak the current system. So in your discussion, you were looking to find out what those different approaches were. And some had some really good answers and did a great job. Others, not so much. And so that's why I asked you to read those posts that seem to really get it. I think Brittany Babas was the first one that I mentioned, but there are several that were good. So that's the difference. You're not just contrasting, you are saying, okay, here is Solomon's approach. And here are the problems with that approach based on what Sally McFay said about the neoclassical model. Now, what I do not want you to do is for you to critique him. Um, uh, you're not theologians, and that's okay. But Sally McFay is a theologian, and she can surely provide a critique of his view. So, is this helping you guys? Great. How about you, Gregory? Are you back in? Okay, Somerville is Summer Page, is that right? Gregory, are you back in? All right. All right, we've got 7 in at this point. Summer Page was in the wrong account. Okay, don't worry about it, Summer, because I'm recording all of this and it's going to be posted to my YouTube account. So if you missed some of it, you can go back and see the whole discussion. What else do we need to? What else can I clarify for you? Someone asked me yesterday about they Skyped me and said, what would the format be? And I would say a good format would be to give a little bit of information. Say, start with McFay and say, here she is saying that the current model is insufficient and leads to inequality. And yeah, Summer. And I would talk about those 2 models first. And then say, she provides this second model that she argues would make things a lot better. Then you could do a brief paragraph on Solomon. You don't have to summarize the whole article. All you need to do is say he talked about education, he talked about forgiving debt, and those kinds of 3 or 4 kinds of things that he said. And then talk about what he said about greed and clearly identify that he is with that second model or the first model. That's okay. Sure, I know there's probably a big delay, but do that, and then the final, the meat. Don't make all. If you're page and a half into this and you haven't really talked about the how McFay would respond to Solomon, you're kind of in trouble. 1 page might be too much, but try to get as much information out of her article that condemns the economic neo economic model. So I think that's a fine format to follow. Just start with McFay. Make sure you call her a she. Good question, Cassie. Does Solomon sort of support the neoclassical model? He absolutely does. Okay, look at what he says about greed, and then she writes, because what I got from his article is more about economic problems involving monetary issues. Yes, but he's only trying to tweak or solve certain issues within the system. So that's part of the problem, because if you tweak a system that's built on greed, that's built on consumerism, that's built on self-interest, rather than caring about everybody and caring about the earth, you're not going to tweak that enough to be okay, because that's not really your goal, right? Your goal is to get stuff for yourself, and the goal of life is to have as much stuff, clothes, cars, whatever you have. That's the goal, and that will never, no matter how you tweak that, make that a um, model that addresses the whole world and focuses on sustainability. We got good questions, and I'm glad you guys took the time to show up. Good. It was super helpful. Thank you for my time. Yeah, I just want to remind you that if you do want to connect with me on Skype, you can do that. I'm not around all the time, but I usually my mornings are spent in front of the computer answering emails and working on that, and doing those kinds of things. But if you say, hey, I need to talk to you, but I work till 5 o'clock, then let me know that in the email, and I'll see when I can get with you. Because, I know obviously for some, online courses are great because you can do it anytime you want and all of that. And for others, they kind of feel like they're out there alone and want to connect, and that's fine. That's why my Skype is open, and that's why the live stream. I may do some more live streams like for the next essay, and I think that would be helpful for you guys. And I know this reading is difficult, but um, you guys are in college, and you need to learn to read difficult stuff. And I think it's also very beneficial to read this information. The first time I read anything from Sally McFay, it just kind of blew my mind. Uh, she talks about how most Christians are in that neoclassical model. Yeah, most Christians don't connect their daily lives and living with the economic system and what's going on. So it's really helpful. You will thank me at the end, maybe, and if not, sorry about that. But I think I think I've covered it. We're coming up on 18 minutes. So let me know if you have anything else. And Cassie, thank you so much for all of the affirmation here, because that's what I want you to do. I want you to all do really well. If everybody makes an A on this paper, I would be thrilled. Summer Page just pointed out something really good. At one point, Solomon states virtuous acts are motivated by personal greed and ambition to become rich and famous. And he called it a paradox. Um, yeah, he says, what he's basically saying is there are some folks who are greedy and they make a lot of money, and then they're able to give back some of that money to help the poor. That's true. But the system is broken because those who are poor, third world countries, and also just poor, don't have the advantages and ability to compete in a competitive market, right? So he's saying a paradox that, hey, it's really not good to be greedy and make a whole lot of money, but sometimes you can help people. But does that really help the system? And that's why a lot of you mentioned that you liked McFay's approach, because it looked at the whole system, not just little ways of tweaking the system. Does that help, Summer? I know we've got a lag here. All right. We're coming up on 20 minutes. That's a long video. One of the things I learned on about YouTube, though, is up in that right-hand corner up there. You can click on it and then speed up the video if you want to. So I would put it on high speed for those first couple of minutes where it was just me looking awkward and not saying anything because nobody was here. So I think I'm leaving you in better shape. Any other questions? One thing I decided the first time I did this several years ago, I edited the video and cut down all the awkward parts. But now that I think about it, why shouldn't they that weren't able to be here this morning not have the benefit of watching the whole awkward thing like you guys did? So congratulations for you guys. And if you're live now, just shoot me an email and let me know that you watched it. Tell me what you thought was good. Tell me what you think I could do better. And I will talk to you guys. Oops, I just got an email. Okay. I will talk to you guys soon. And thanks, Cassie, for the tear emojis. So you guys have a great day.